So Graham, is the return home going to be odd for you once you get in the press box? Does it just become normal, or the lead up to it a little different? What's this going to be like?
I think it'll be the same. I think. I don't know. I've never been back and coached there, but obviously be familiar with the town. I don't even know if I've ever been in the coach's box, so it's not like that's familiar ground or something. So, like I said, it'll be. I'll know where I am, but that's about the only difference in that one and all the other ones until I get in that box, I guess. But it'll be fun, and it's been a long time since I've been back there, so it seems like Lubbock was changing pretty quickly when I was there, and I'm sure it's changed a lot since I've been there last. So I'll be interested to see what it looks like.
Um, Neil mentioned, he said it's going to be important for the quarterbacks to throw spirals because of the wind, and you have a unique perspective. What do you tell your guys? Because it can be pretty unpredictable there.
Yeah, I don't throw a spiral, I guess. I don't tell them anything. You just got to. I mean, the weather's the weather. It's not like you can change it. So we're gonna have to go execute no matter what we get. And when you're out there, you just kind of get used to it. I mean, some days are windier than others, especially in the spring. Spring can be crazy out there. Spring ball's not the most fun time to throw the football, but like I said, when you're out there, you kind of get used to it. And I don't know what it's supposed to be this weekend, but it's like I said, it's not going to change anything, so it's not something I really think about or talk about much.
More of a psychological thing, and you just got to deal with.
I guess Leach never he never let us use that as an excuse. That's for sure. He never talked about it, or if you threw bad balls. If you threw bad balls, he yelled at you, and whether it was windy or not. So you better learn to throw in it.
Coach, obviously the coaches have changed since you were at Texas Tech, but they were down to their third quarterback there last week, and he still threw 62 times in a game. And I'm guessing that probably doesn't really surprise you at all. But I'm just kind of wondering, is there something to the passing game and Texas Tech passing and Lubbock? Is there just coaches have come and gone, but there's still that reputation of Texas Tech being this pass happy, pass first kind of
I don't
thing.
know that since Leach has been there, they've thrown it quite a bit, I guess, and I think that's just that maybe the fans kind of fell in love with it with Leach because it was different, and at the time it was real different. When he first got out there, no one was throwing the ball like that, and that's just kind of become the brand of football maybe those fans expect or the administration wants. Administration has changed since everyone's changed pretty much since I've been there. I don't know hardly any of them, but except the equipment guy, he's the best, Zane. But everyone else is different. But like I said, I think more than anything, probably like it's a brand of football that's worked out there before, and you're trying to duplicate success, and that's like I said, you give the fans a fun product to watch and duplicate the success that Leach had, and that'd be my guess. I don't really, because you'd think with the win you'd run the triple and never throw it in it, but that's just not the case out there. That's what they've kind of become known for, and a lot of people have a lot of success doing it out there.
If they ever brought in a coach that two tight ends, I formation, would that look weird to you at Texas Tech?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Spike might have been doing that back in the day, so there might have been some old timers that enjoyed it. But like I said, it's become a spread offensive place, and that's what they've done for a long time. And it's kind of what you expect to see when you see Texas Tech play. But I don't know, maybe something else would work out there. You got to give it a try.
19, Tyree Wilson. What jumps out at you when you watch him on tape?
He's really long and can give you issues, but like always, I think we got to they're gonna be who they are, and we got to go execute what we do well, And a couple of those guys last week were long. This kid, done a lot of good things, and like I said, length obviously helps at a lot of positions, and in particular that one, and so he does a good job, and but. And we got to focus on doing our job at a high level, because I think if we do, we can go move the football, and that's kind of the message always is like if we just do our job at a really high level, we can execute. And I think you can see that. Like Baylor was a good defense, and we went executed at times really well. So the key is focus on continuing to improve what we do, continue to get better at what we do, be really consistent. Because I think if we do, we can go move the football.
You played there 4 years. What was the worst weather day you played there? You remember a game that?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, there aren't any like nice calm days where you just get. Now there's some beautiful sunsets, but and like I said, when you live there, you almost get used to it. But you got dust hitting you in the face at all times. It feels like out there. But there were a lot of crazy days, and the crazy thing about out there in West Texas, not just love, but the weather can change like 3 times in a day, and that's the hard part. It goes from sunny to snowing to sunny again to like a dirt storm, and you're like, golly, where did this come from, And so I think those are probably the toughest days. The cold was brutal out there at times. When those, I can remember going to class in the cold. I didn't like those days because it was cold and that wind. Like I've been in some cold places. Obviously, I played in Canada. I played in Green Bay, but I don't know if I've ever been as cold as when that wind starts hitting you out there in Lubbock when it gets cold and it's windy. And then the days where the weather changes like 3 different times, those are tough too because you're prepared for one thing and you get 3 different other things, and then you're like, well, I wasn't prepared for this. You got shorts on and then it's 20 degrees out there, and you're like, well, that was a bad plan, but there's really no planning out there, so you just go with what you have at the moment.
They always say you could sit on your porch and watch your dog run away for miles and miles and miles out there. You ever heard that phrase?
No, but you better, you're not going to see that far because you just see dirt after a while, you know what I mean? It starts blowing at you.
It's no wonder they keep the same equipment manager.
Yes.
He's the only one to keep up with it.
Yeah, it's wild. That weather is crazy, but like I said, spend a lot of time out there, and after a while, you don't think about it much.
I was curious, they have a star on their defense. They list a star. I guess that's a spur or safety or whatever. Is there any carryover or similarities to what you face with Baylor? Do they do anything that carries over?
I think I think they're a little more. Baylor played us a little different than they played us, gave us a few different looks than necessarily we probably expected. But at the end of the day, I think you can. I mean, people are going to get to. I mean, there's only so many ways you can play defense. I think you know what I mean, and they're going to get to some sort of. They'll get to a spot that you've seen before at some point, and it's just how you want to get to those spots, and they do it a little differently. I think that what they've shown to be is mix it up more than a lot of people we've seen this year. You know what I mean? So you got to be prepared for a lot of things. But like I said, once the ball snaps, if you pause the tape, they're going to be in spots that everyone else gets to, and I think that they probably try to do a lot of things to try to confuse you and not let you recognize that. But as a quarterback or as an offense, or especially the guys that are identifying stuff, the quarterback, the center, so the O-line, the key is to try to recognize what they're doing and know and get us on the right page. Because if we do, I always think if we can get everyone on the same page, you give yourself a chance.
Was JT and Zach pretty on spot on with what they saw from Baylor, in your opinion?
They did a really good job, and I think that, kind of like I said, even if they're wrong, as long as they're wrong together, like we have a chance. There were times where we probably could have pushed it one direction. JT could have pushed it a direction, and especially in some of the draws, and we could have blocked up the draw, and he could have handed it off instead of throwing it. But at the nice thing about that play, or that's just an easy example, is they all knew where they were going, so JT knew who the free guy was, who he had to get rid of the football against, and he did a heck of a job of doing that. You know what I mean? And so that's the key, is not necessarily making sure we pick it up perfectly, but just making sure that all 11 are on the same page. Because if that's the case, then we'll find an answer, hopefully. You know what I mean? But if one guy thinks one thing and another thinks the other, well, now you're in trouble, because that's when you get someone, free runners that you don't expect, or whatever the case may be. So they did a really good job, I thought, more than anything, just being on the same page. And if they're on the same page, I don't really care if they're right or wrong. Like, make it right, and they do a good job of doing that. Those two communicate really well. I think the O-line communicates really well. Just a lot of that has to do with the amount of time they've played together. So they do a good job being on the same page. JT has come in and it really understands what they're trying to do, and understands what they're calling, and understand what that means for him. And that's what I think that's played a large part. And it feels like, I don't know if it's true, but it feels like we've done a really good job not taking too many negative plays, and that really, really helps. And I think a big part of that is just people being on the same page, and because that's how you eliminate negative plays.
With O'Loughlin out, are you tempted in any way in the future to some way find Tony and CJ in the backfield together, especially with CJ's pass catching ability and obviously his size and ability to block?
Yeah, we can put those two on the field. That's that wouldn't be real hard for us. And I think that the other night we let Garrett play a little running back, and I just think the key is to get good football players on the football field and try to get them touches, and that's kind of the philosophy of what we do. And like I've said since I've been here, we're going to try to get our best players the ball in space and then let them go be them. And however we got to do it, whether it be run the ball, throw the ball, just find ways to get good players the ball, get good players in space, and let them go use their abilities and hopefully move the unit.
Obviously, you have the experience as a quarterback dealing with the wind and the weather there in Lubbock, but is there any differences of what you're going to tell the receivers, anything the receivers can do, and any experience you have of it affecting the receivers just because they had a solid game and question marks around them from the week earlier, but that could affect them?
The wind blows here too, so it's not like that's the only place that has a wind. So they've got experience with wind, and it could be really strong there. Hopefully it's just a normal Lubbock day with just a little, with some wind and not a giant wind, and it shouldn't affect them much. That's the thing about it there is you get a constant wind, but you can get some really, really strong winds. And if it's not blowing really strong, it's not different than anywhere else other than there's dirt in it instead of just a nice,
There's
clear.
no simulation this week of trying to help them catch something that's not a spiral, saying that if it's not a spiral because of the wind.
Maybe I can find someone that doesn't throw good spirals and throw it at them, or get one of those jug machines to shoot something crazy at them. But other than that, I'm gonna try to get my quarterback to throw a spiral. But I don't know how to throw non-spirals unless you, like I said, just try to throw ducks at them or get a jugs machine to shoot them. I don't know if I bet you can do that. You could ask the equipment guy, but like I said, I'm gonna try I don't know what the wind's expected to be. They said it's not expected to be too crazy, and if it is, like I said, they'll hopefully adjust and make some plays for us.
You get a taco thrown at you. Are you going to eat it?
No, you can't trust those things. They're probably the rotten tortillas they throw at you out there. I don't think they throw good tortillas. They make good homemade tortillas are really good out there. So hopefully they're not wasting the good ones. I don't know what they throw, but hopefully they're wasting the old ones.
Craig, your dad and McGuire go back quite a bit, right?
Yeah, Coach McGuire, Joey. Yeah, he used to coach right down the street right down the street, not far from our hometown. So I know Joey really well. We used to go play when I was in high school. We'd go play it was before there was 7-on-7 official leagues, and a couple teams from the area would always go play with each other each summer, and we'd always go play up there with Cedar Hill when I was in high school. And like I said, my dad knows him well. I know him really well. So yeah.
Did your dad try to hire him? Is that the story?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Joey. That's probably I was too young to know the ins and out of that. But no, I do know. Like I said, they know each other really well. Dad still talks to Joey quite a bit, and we used to play him we used to play him in 7-on-7 a lot, and we were right down the street. So yeah, I know Joey really well, and Dad knows him better than I do probably.
I'm assuming it's not a surprise, but he's really shot up quickly. I think 2017 was his first year in college, but really successful at Cedar Hill. Just from what you know about him, and I don't know what your dad knew about him, what explains maybe how quickly and how successful he's been?
Well, in the state of Texas, it helps if you got connections to Texas high school coaches and players, and the access to that helps. And so, I think that's obviously why they hired him at Baylor in the first place, was to get a connection. When Coach Roll came in there, he didn't have a ton of Texas ties, and best way to get Texas ties is to hire a Texas high school coach that has had success. And the thing about Joey is he knows, he's got a pretty outgoing personality. So not only had he had success, but all the high school coaches knew him, you know what I mean? And so that helps. And then the personality obviously helps him in recruiting. And like we can say what we want, but if I got good players, I'm a lot better coach than if I have bad players. So like I said, he's got an outgoing personality. Lots of the high school coaches know him and trust him, and so they're going to give him access, and that helps in recruiting. And then you get good players, and when you get good players, you win more games. So I think that that's kind of the way that growth has happened and the reason why.
Coach, one more on CJ. With him kind of coming back, is there curiosity at all to kind of throw him in there and see what he can do, or the fact that you guys were able to run the ball really well last week without him? Hey, let's not mess up the good thing here. What kind of way do you lean in the situation when the guy's coming back?
I mean, to me, it comes down like if the medical people say he can play, then play. You know what I'm saying? And if they say he's not ready, then don't play him. And that's always been how I've felt. And if they say he's good to go, make sure. I think you got to check with the medical staff, check with the kid, make sure he feels right. But when they clear a guy to play, you use them. You know what I mean? And but that stuff's out of my hands as far as all the medical stuff goes. Like I said, I don't know anything about all that. But I think that obviously with player safety being as hot of a topic as it is, I mean, for the last few years, but especially right now, I feel pretty confident that there's not going to be any medical people put a guy out there before they're ready. And if they say he's ready, like I said, you've seen for the first however many weeks it was, 4 or 5 weeks, how talented of a player he is, and it goes back to trying to get your players the ball. And so if the medical staff says he's ready, then I say, we'll use him. And like I said, kind of like I always say, like you got to find the hot hand and feed it, and that's in the run game, in the pass game, figure out what's working and go. And if he gets the hot hand, then I think you play him. But like I said, Tony did a heck of a job last week, that's for sure. He had a lot of success, ran really hard. Thought it was his best game as far as being disciplined with his reads and stuff like that in the run game, and allowed him to have the success he had. And so, if Tony's got the hot hand, you feed him, and when they need a break, get the next guy in. And so, we got a good room in there. All three of those guys are pretty selfless dudes that cheer for each other, pull for each other, and want success for themselves, but also the entire room. And like I said, if they tell us he's good to go, then we'll try to use him.